everybody, it's Lisa, Pink Glitter Scrapper, and I am here today with the Spiegel Mountain Scraps Design Team layout for you. I'm going to be using these papers for my layout of documenting this sweet photo of my youngest, who was about 2 years old in this photo, out in the backyard with her little blowy dandelion flowers. I'm using Sprinkling Kindness and Baby Butterfly on today's project, and they are the perfect colors for kind of the light springy idea that I have for this page. Now I'm going to go ahead and start matting my photo. And here I have just a scrap piece of pink cardstock that the photo fit on. I had punched some other shapes out of it for another project previously, but the photo fit perfectly while giving it just that small little pink edge that I was looking for. I am trimming off the punched area, but when I went to trim down the bottom, I really liked the way that that torn bottom looked. So I'm just going to go ahead and tear it in a little bit of a, I guess, neater fashion, if you will, for a torn look, if that can look neat. I'm just going to go ahead and tear it just a little bit straighter, I guess. And then I'm going to bring in a light piece of blue cardstock to mat it on again. This is the center of the cardstock that I'm going to mat the whole layout on when I'm finished. But I really like the light blue for just the light airiness of it. And I'm going for a very springy, soft pastel color scheme. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another small little border with this really pretty light blue. And then after I trim all of that down, I am going to go ahead and mat it on a piece of vellum as well. So I just want to talk about the photo a little bit. When my daughter was 2, you can see she's blowing the flowers. But before this photo, she didn't know how exactly to blow them, so she wound up eating quite a few of these flowers. So I was so excited when I finally captured one of her getting it right, and it's just such a sweet photo that I haven't scrapbooked yet. I was so surprised when I found it in my stash of photos that I just had to bring it up for today. The sequin mixes that I'm using are so pretty. The Sprinkling Kindness is really a soft, pretty, pastel-y yellow that I love so much. And so everything worked together beautifully. Now, the theme for April for Spiegel Mom Scraps is recycling and using up your packaging in some unique way. So I am using some packaging here to do a little bit of the packaging technique with my Shimmers Mist, and I just used cotton candy. And I did draw an area where the photo is going to lay, so that way I knew some of this would peek out from behind it. Another good tip for recycling that I have is I have a ton of old washcloths from when my girls were small babies, and they're not big enough for anybody to use anymore, so I use them as my mixed media rags to dab up stuff or clean up while I'm going along. So that's just a little thing that you can think of if you have old rags laying around. Bring them into your scrapbook room and use them, because then you won't care if they get dirty or messy or artsy looking like mine. Now, I am going for a light and airy look for today's page, but I brought in this pop of black, and you're going to see what they're going to turn into in a moment. These little starbursts are going to turn into dandelions to replicate the little flowers in my photo. Now, I did back them with a little bit of vellum just to give them that soft, fuzzy look, I guess, and I just really love the way that these little flowers turned out. I like that I was able to get 2 different cut files to come together, create this flower, and I just love this little element on the page. I did cut 3 of them, and you're going to see where the third one comes in momentarily. So I am using my ATG gun to get the vellum down, so that way it would stick immediately. I'm going to use my fine line on the really tiny stems that I created for my flowers, and I'm just going to go ahead and get those adhered right into place at the bottom left corner of my layout. I want to apologize if you hear my puppy in the background going crazy. The mailman is out front, and this is the only quiet time I have to do my voiceover, so he decides to bark. I'm very sorry. But he's here, so I have those dandelion flowers in place now. And that's when I realized I might as well bring some more vellum onto my page somewhere. So I am going to back my photo to give a little bit of softness and fuzzy feel, if you will, to the back of my photo. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trim off all of that extra vellum that I do not need, and I'm going to, of course, stick them into my stash because those are usable sizes to me. Now, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to put it into the area where I had sketched behind it earlier, right around where the packaging technique is. And then I have these extra dandelions heads that I had cut, the starbursts. They are going to be the little pieces of dandelions blowing in the wind. And I did keep them in black for that little wow factor. And I love it. I love the way that they look. This is not what the cup file was intended for, but I just love that it was able to be multi-purpose. And these look so whimsical and so sweet. This is a favorite layout of mine that I have created recently, and it just, she even loves it. She calls it the blowflower layout, and she's always asking to look at it, and I just love this layout a ton. Now, this is where the sequins are going to come into play. I am going to mix both the Sprinkling Kindness and Baby Butterfly together and sprinkle both of those mixes throughout that trail of dandelion seeds blowing off into the wind. So I'm going to create a very sparkly trail of these little blowy parts going off my page from the bottom left off to the top right corner. And now all the sequins are down. I am going to start creating little areas that are embellishment clusters, I guess, if you can. My title is going to be one of them. It's going to be Make a Wish, because she's making a wish on her flower. And I just really like the way that the black thickers and this very old pink font, I don't even know what it's called anymore. It's been in my stash for so long. I like the way that they just nestled into each other. It took a little bit of playing with to get them into the right spot finally, but that little top loop of the H just holds that A perfectly. And I'm just going to put these down real quick so that way I can move on, but you can see my entire process. Here are 3 pattern papers that I'm going to create little areas of embellishment with as well. They all complement the layout beautifully. I have a black and white polka dot that I'm working with right now that I'm going to put to the top left corner. And everything I do in the top left corner, I'm going to bring down to the bottom right corner as well. This is a soft pink floral pattern paper that is going to go on just a little bit of an angle and a tilt. And then there is also this really pretty light blue that looks like the flowers I created with the black, but they're outlined in white, and it just was the absolute perfect pattern paper for this. So now that I have the top left cluster created, I am going to go ahead, trim off all of the excess pattern paper, and then move on to creating the bottom right cluster. Just going to flip this over to make trimming the extra pattern paper off easier. And now you can see that that top cluster is all complete. And I'm going to repeat the same exact layering pattern in the bottom right. I'm going to put the black and white polka dot down first, bring in some of the little pink pieces, and then top that all off with the dandelion light blue. And they have little teeny tiny banner ends cut into them. You will see that in the close-ups at the end of my video. Stay tuned for those still shots because you'll be able to see a lot more in depth what I was able to create using the cup file and these really pretty pattern papers. Now, the Baby Butterfly collection does have little tiny butterflies that I also sprinkled throughout the scattering of the dandelions and into and around the paper clusters that I'm creating right now. And they were the cutest little touch in the sequin mix. I really love how those unique little shapes are making their way into some of Jody's mixes. They just bring a really cute, unique element to your page. I will have linked below both of the mixes that I used today, as well as the link to the shop, my discount code, and I am going to start finishing up my layout here. I'm going to sprinkle some more of the pink that I did the packaging technique with, which is Shimmers and Cotton Candy. I'm also going to use some Jenny B Blue because it was the right shade of blue, just to bring a little bit more pops of color in. And I am going to use some Night Moves, which is the black, and just create little tiny splatters all around. In the still photos, you'll see I did go in and add some florals to the top and to the side, and some tiny word stickers to do my journaling, which just say embrace the journey, stay curious, own your dreams, and practice kindness. Since my title is Make a Wish, I just wanted to add some sweet little words of wishes I have for Mia in her future. I hope you guys enjoyed my layout today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!